6 different scales and modes. Chromatic scales. Major and minor scales are diatonic, which means that they are made up of tones and semitones, and they contain only notes that belong to the scale. A chromatic scale is made up of only semitones and contains all 12 notes in the octave. There are two types of chromatic scales, the chromatic scale that has no key signature and the chromatic scale that is based on a key. There are two simple rules for chromatic scales. 1. Never use the same letter more than twice. 2. Do not change the name of the tonic note enharmonically. Chromatic scales without a key signature. In this chromatic scale, the notes are raised going up and lowered going down. When you write this chromatic scale, you use sharps as soon as possible on the way up and flats as soon as possible on the way down. Here is a chromatic scale starting on C. Sharps are used on the way up and flats are used on the way down. Notice that the bar line in the middle cancels all the accidentals used on the way up. In the following scale, F-sharp chromatic, all the descending accidentals are flats except for the last note. Since F-sharp is a starting note, F-sharp must also be the final note. You cannot change the name of the starting note enharmonically, so you can't change this to G-flat. Chromatic scales with a key signature. A chromatic scale may also be based on a major scale. This form of chromatic scale may be written with or without a key signature. To write this type of chromatic scale without a key signature, follow these 3 steps. 1. Determine the tonic and dominant notes by using the first note as a tonic of a major scale. Write the tonic and dominant notes ascending and descending. In the example below, the scale begins on E. The tonic and dominant of the notes of E major are E and B. So E, B, and E. 2. Write each of the remaining notes twice. So you have to write F twice, G twice, A twice, and B twice, and C twice, and D twice, and same going down. And then 3, add the necessary accidentals to form a chromatic scale. So this would be F sharp and G sharp, A sharp, and B sharp, and C sharp, and D sharp, and E, and then same going back down. And you should have more space than this because this isn't enough space. Whole tone scales. A whole tone scale is made up of whole steps. A few important points to remember when writing whole tone scales. 1. Whole tone scales use 6 different letter names. 2. Do not enharmonically change the name of the starting note. 3. Do not mix sharps and flats in the same scale. Use all sharps or all flats. 4. Every whole tone scale contains the interval of a diminished third. So here's an example. Add accidentals to the following to create whole tone scales. So whole tone scales have whole tones between every 2 notes. So a whole tone from D is E. So this E over here is fine. And a whole tone from E is F sharp or G flat, and they gave us a G, so then it would be G flat. And a whole tone from G flat is A flat, and a whole tone from A flat is B flat. A whole tone from B flat is C, so we don't add anything, and a whole tone from C is D. And then back down it's the same. Now the second one starts on E flat, so a whole tone from E flat is F, so this is good. And from F a whole tone is G, so that's good. To A is also good, and then A to B is also good. And then a whole tone from B is C sharp or D flat. And since it gives a D, it would be D flat. Also, since you can't use both sharps and flats in the same scale, so it has to be D flat. And you write the same going down. Pentatonic scales. The pentatonic scale consists of 5 notes and is one of the oldest scales in existence. It was found in Asian music as early as 2000 BC and is common in folk music. Pentatonic scales were also used by some composers in the 19th and 20th centuries. We will study 2 types of pentatonic scales. Major pentatonic scales. The major pentatonic scale can be formed by removing the 4th and 7th degrees from a major scale. So C major pentatonic. So C, D, E, G, A, and C, because the 4th degree should be an F. The 4th degree should be an F over here. And the 7th degree should be a B over here. But a pentatonic scale, a major pentatonic scale, is when you remove the 4th and 7th degrees. So without these two, C, D, E, G, A, and C would be the major pentatonic scale for C major pentatonic scale. An F sharp major pentatonic. So there's F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, C sharp, D sharp, and F sharp. So in F sharp major, there should be a B and an E sharp over here. And by the way, F sharp major has all the key signatures except for B. So these are all sharps except for B. So removing the 4th and 7th degree would be removing the B and the E sharp. So F sharp major pentatonic are these notes. Pentatonic scales. The minor pentatonic scale can be formed by removing the 2nd and 6th degrees from the minor scale. So the A minor pentatonic is A, C, D, E, G, and A. So the A is the 1st degree, and the 2nd degree is B, but you have to remove the 2nd degree for minor pentatonic scales. So there's no B, and the 3rd degree, which is C, 4th degree, which is D, 5th degree, which is E. And you skip the F in the 6th degree because you also have to remove the 6th degree, and then the 7th degree, which is G, and then the tonic, which is A. Same for C minor pentatonic. The D, which is the 2nd degree, is gone, and so is the A, or A flat. But in pentatonic scales, you use harmonic, so it would be A flat. So you remove the A flat. You use natural, so yeah, there's A flat, so you remove the A flat, which is the 6th degree. Write the following pentatonic scales, ascending and descending. So the first one is D major pentatonic. So since it's a major, you will remove the 2nd and 6th degrees. The 4th and 7th degrees. So first you write the D major scale. And back down. And you have to remove the 4th and 7th degrees, which is this. Oh yeah, and don't forget the key signature. Okay, and so the 4th and 7th degrees are the G and the C sharps. so you remove those. So this is the D major pentatonic, and you can move the notes closer together if you want to. And when you do more of it, you won't need to write the whole thing anyway, so you could just do it in your head. And the G minor pentatonic, or the key signature for G minor, is B flat and E flat. So first, since it's a minor pentatonic, that means we remove the second and sixth degrees. So G is the first degree, and since you remove the second degree, you don't write an A, you just go straight to B flat. So first degree, third degree, fourth, fifth, sixth, which is an E flat, but since you remove the sixth degree, you also take out the E flat. So then you go straight to F and then G and back down with the same notes as before. Now B flat major pentatonic. It's the same key signature as B flat as G minor, but this one you have to remove the fourth and seventh. So we'll use the low B flat, C, D, E flat, which is the fourth degree. So we remove the E flat, and then F, G, A, B flat, and back down. Oh wait. So this A is a seventh degree, which you have to remove. So then back down with the same notes. Now F minor pentatonic. So the key signature for F minor is B flat, E flat, A flat, and D flat. So since it's minor, you have to remove the second and sixth degree. So start on F, and the second degree is G, which is not needed, so no G, or G, and then A flat, B flat, the fourth degree is B flat, and C, fifth degree, and the next degree is a D flat, but it's the sixth degree, so we don't need it. Go straight to E flat, and then F, and then back down. Scales. Blues is an African American music genre characterized by a scale in which certain notes are lowered. A blues tune is usually 12 measures long and consists of 3 4-measure phrases. Here is a basic blues scale: C, E flat, F, G flat, G natural, B flat, and C. If you compare this to a major scale, you will find 3 differences. 1. The second and sixth degrees are missing. 2. The third, fifth, and seventh degrees are lowered by a semitone. These are called blue notes. 3. The fifth degree of the scale occurs twice, once unaltered and once lowered. A blues scale can be formed from a major scale by omitting the second and sixth degrees and lowering the third, fifth, and seventh degrees. Write the following blues scales, ascending only. So F blues. So first, we'll write the F major scale. The F, wait, that's not F. F, G, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, and F. So we'll remove the 3rd, 5th, and 7th degrees. Actually, first we'll label the degrees. So 1st degree, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 1st. So first we remove the 3rd, 5th, and 7th degrees. Wait, no, whoops. Not that. First we remove the 2nd and 6th degrees. And then we lower the 3rd, 5th, and 7th degrees. So it would be F flat, and A flat, and C flat. And then you have to add another 5th degree not lowered. So A natural. Now B flat blues. First we'll write the B flat scale, B flat major scale. So B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, and B flat. We'll label this 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 1st. So first remove the 2nd and 6th degrees. Then we lower the 3rd, 5th, and 7th degrees, which makes it D flat, F flat, and A flat. Then we add another 5th degree, but not lowered, so F natural. But this is the B flat blues. The octatonic scale. The octatonic scale is an 8-note scale in which tones and semitones alternate. The octatonic scales are sometimes called diminished scales. The octatonic scale begins and ends on the same note, so like all scales. And so like all scales, the tonic must not be changed enharmonically. This scale can begin with either a tone or a semitone. Only 3 transpositions of the octatonic scale are possible. So these are examples of octatonic scales. So if it starts on a C, first there's a semitone to D flat, then a tone, or we don't use semitones and tones anymore, we use half steps and whole steps. So first a half step to D flat, and then a whole step to E flat, a half step to E natural, and a whole step to F sharp, and so on. The second one starts with a C sharp and first has a half step to D, then whole step to E, half step to F, and whole step to G, and so on. And this one also starts with a half step, so D, half step to E flat, then a whole step to F. So it alternates half step, whole step, half step, whole step, or whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Write the following onto octatonic scales, ascending and descending. On F, start with the tone. So here's an F, and by tone, it's actually whole step, because in the real exam, they don't use whole step and they don't use semitones and half steps anymore. They use whole steps and half steps. So on F, start with the whole step. So F, a whole step is G, then a half step is A flat, then a whole step is B flat, and a half step is C, then a whole step is D, half step is E flat, and a whole step is F. So that works because it starts on an F and ends with an F. And then you do the same down. Should have left more space, but then on A, start with a half step. So A, half step is B flat, and the whole step is C, half step is D flat, whole step is E flat, half step is F flat, and another whole step is G flat, and then half step is A. So it starts on an A and ends on an A, and it's the same going down. Just copy the notes from the first half. Modes. Broadly speaking, a mode is a pattern of notes arranged in a scale. Major and minor scales are only two examples of modes. The modes are called church modes, a system of modes that became established during the Middle Ages and played an important role in the composition of Gregorian chant. The origins of the system, however, date back to ancient Greek theory. Each mode has its own pattern of tones and semitones. Different modes. There are 7 different modes: Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. Here's an easy way to remember the different mode names in their orders. So the first one starts with an I, so I, and then the second one starts with a D, so do. The third one starts with a play, P, so play. Fourth one L, like. Fifth one Mozart, and list. So it's I, do, play, like Mozart, and list. Just remember that for the 2 L's, Lydian comes before Locrian, because there are 2 L's. Different modes, part 2. So these are explaining the different modes. So the first one is Ionian, and from half step 1 is 7 to 8, or to the 7th degree to the 8th degree, or the 1st degree. They're the same. And the second one is 3rd to 4th. Dorian is 6th to 7th, and 2nd to 3rd. Phrygian is 5th and 1st, and the Lydian is 7 and 4. Mixolydian is 6 and 3. Aeolian is 5 and 2, and Locrian is 4 and 1. So it's 7 6 5 7 6 5 4, and 3 2 1 4 3 2 1. The different numbers in the half-step columns represent the notes that will have half steps. For example, in Ionian mode, everything is a whole step, except from the 7th degree to the 8th degree, or 1st degree, and the 3rd degree to the 4th degree. Everything else is whole steps, except for those, which are half steps. Now write the following modal scales ascending only. So first it's E Mixolydian. So Mixolydian is Mixolydian is, if you remember the chart thing, it's the 3rd degree and the 6th degree. So we start on E, and a whole step from E is F sharp. A whole step from F sharp is G sharp. And since the 3rd degree is to the 4th degree is a half step, that means a half step from G sharp is A, then a whole step, and then another whole step, which is C sharp, and then the 6th degree is the C sharp, so then it's a half step, which makes a D, and then another whole step, which is the last note, is E. Now C Aeolian, so that's the 2nd degree, and on the third degree, I think. But I do play like Mozart, and so that's the second degree and it's the second degree and the fifth degree. So starting on C, and then a whole step is D, and since it's the second degree is a half step, it's E flat, and then a whole step is F, whole step is G, then the fifth degree to the sixth degree is also a half step, so it's A flat, then B flat, and then to C. The next one is F Lydian, so that's the fourth degree and the seventh degree. So starting on F, so F, G, A, B, and a half step from B, so that's C, and then whole steps until the seventh degree, which is an E, and it's a half step, which makes it F, and it also ends on F, so that's correct.